Hi, it's you and Ellery here making bonsai in Australia, and in this video I'm going to refine a couple of my Chinese Elm Bonsais. So when I got these, they were initially just a couple of long sticks without any branches on them, so I used a bit of wiring to create a couple of different structures out of those. So this one I've just put a little bit of taper in there in the stick that I had, or in the main trunk. And then I've just let these shoots grow out since then. This one, because it had a little bit of curvature in it, I did actually try and bend it over as a little bit of a cascade style bonsai. I did have this bent down much further, yet what I really found was that the branch that I pulled down, it didn't really grow any at all, which is why I kind of chopped it off. Yet all of the other branches that were coming out here were growing with quite a lot of vigor. So I'm going to drastically change the style of this particular Chinese elm. With this one, it's actually grown out quite like I wanted it to. A lot of branches well spaced out. We'll be removing this lower one later on, but for now I'll use it as a sacrificial branch just to get a little bit of taper in the trunk. But you can see as well, and I'll show you a bit closer up later on, but I've done a few exercises of just pruning back some of these branches, which has really started to develop some decent branch padding going on here, despite the fact of how small these branches are. So yeah, I'll continue with that and start pruning it. But I'll change the angle of the camera now, just so you can see that better, and I'll start working on it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of start pretty low down on this, but first up, just starting with this lower branch, and I really want you can see a lot of these branches just because I've kind of just clipped and grown them at this point in time. They're really, well, other than the wire and the main trunk, but they're really sprouting up a little bit too high, and I really want them, at the end of the day, I'd much rather the main branch just dropping down a little bit more, because it looks a lot more like it would in nature with a bigger branch. Once the weight at the end of the branch really pulls the branch down, they wouldn't end up sticking up like this one does. So I am for the most part going to have this later on as a clip and grow style, but for these main branches, the ones that aren't kind of horizontal already, I really want to just pull down slightly with a bit of wiring today, but then the rest of the exercise will be just to prune it back so we get more back budding. So you can see the pads developing, kind of what you can see on some of these, with a little bit of a pad coming together. So for now, just with this bottom one, whilst it will be a sacrificial branch later on, for now I'm just going to develop it. Might use it later on, who knows, but yeah, I'm just going to do a bit of directional pruning just so that it gets a few more branches coming out from this lower area, and developing something a little bit better. So for now, with that directional pruning, now at the bottom of each of the leaves there's a little bud which, once you prune the branch back, is going to, well, each of those has the potential to sprout a new branch. So given the fact that those will sprout out the direction in which the leaf is facing, all of these ones down here are kind of sprouting out at that kind of horizontal angle, which is what I want. So for now, I'm going to prune just above this leaf here, just so that hopefully I'll get a few branches coming out at that horizontal level. Now, when you do cut these off as well with these Chinese elms, they shoot incredibly, the cuttings grow incredibly easy, so you'll get a lot more options there. Okay. So this one up here probably doesn't really need much pruning. I do need to go off the old 2-branch principle here. Going to I don't really want, because I have to kind of put the wire down the main trunk a little bit just to keep to the 2-branch principle. So it's going to mar it a little bit in terms of visually being aesthetic, but I won't keep the wire on for too long. The wiring does really set quite well, quite quickly with these quick growing trees. So I'll just set it for now, and then likely within the next couple of months, once it's set, I'll take it off, and then it will look a lot better. So just wire these, and then I can put them into position. Just trying not to crush any of my little, especially the little branches I've got coming out in the good areas, like I do on this branch I'm working with now. There's a lot of back budding from the last time I pruned it, but you can again see this this main lead branch, which is kind of gone a little bit nuts there. Alright, so just put that down a little. It's about where I want it. Could leave those both to grow. Yeah, and this one's quite small for now, so leave those for now. Just drop this down a bit. Yeah, looking much more convincing as we pull it down entirely. A slight upper angle, but just not as drastic as these here. This one I can definitely prune, so yeah, I don't want these really long straight parts of the branch, so prune this out to a good point. That one I can keep growing. There's a couple back buds in there even. This one prune back just to get it a little bit better in terms of the pad that's forming here. And I don't need this wire, so I'll just cut that back. Okay. So probably don't really need, given that I'm really just trying to, I'm not really doing anything other than just trying to pull the branches down a little bit, I really don't need the wire that I'm using to be overly long, so I'm just using this small bit of second hand wire. Just bring that around, hook it over. And I'm doing this whilst the branches are still very small, just to, you know, with Chinese elms they get really thick, and the wood comes really hard and kind of brittle too, so just doing it while they're young, just so I can actually get some merit. So pull those down a little. Need to be too far down, up slightly. Okay, so this one here sticks up a little bit, so I'm just going to prune it to a horizontal facing leaf. This one here is going direct down, so just remove that completely. Don't want branches going straight down. This one again is coming out horizontally, which I like, but yeah, I would prune it to a good facing leaf as well, just to get a new bud forming. So a leaf that's kind of facing out a little bit rather than just sticking out straight like this. And I'm also just trying to go for the general kind of shape of the end tree which I want. So given that this kind of comes out quite a bit too far, I'm just going to prune it again, just do a couple more of those outward facing leaves. And just prune it back to the profile as well. Did say I'd keep these before, but yeah, I'm just going to prune them to the profile a little bit more. We will also encourage a bit more back budding. So this branch here is while I'm here, I'm also just going to, there's a few little lumpy bits, just going to prune flush a lot of these old things where I've cut off branches in the past, just so that it heals up nice and flush. Yeah, and this one's not too bad. It comes up a little bit, but then this branch is kind of quite horizontal, so I think I'm just going to prune back this one that lifts up a lot more, just to another horizontal leaf, just as a, well, just utilise clip and grow here, especially given the fact that there's not really a secondary branch here for me to wire it to, so utilising the two branch structure principle, I'd kind of have to put a wire way at the top here, which I don't really want to do. This branch is coming out nicely, but just prune that anyway, just to get a little bit more back budding. Just to create another little pad there. Don't have any branches coming out here, so if I do, don't have any branches coming out here, so if I do get in branches developing that way in the future, I'll leave those. Alright, so I'll probably keep this one here as I might develop that into an apex, so I probably won't prune that, and I'll just bring these ones down. So this one here is again only a slight lift up, so I'll just prune that to another horizontal facing leaf, just to develop a little pad there. A bit higher. Doesn't really need to be very long because I'll keep the branches kind of short. And just wrap that one around. So while the yeah, this branch I pruned into like much further in from the overall profile of the tree that I'll be aiming for. Yeah, that was just to keep it nice and flat using just the clip and grow structure on this, and then hopefully it'll grow out a lot further in a more horizontal fashion. But this one, yeah, so this will hopefully be my apex. That one's already nice and horizontal enough, and then these ones just move around. This probably bend out this way a little bit. Down a bit further. This is also the front of the tree that you can see there, so I'm just making sure that this doesn't come straight towards the viewer from the front, but I still don't want it coming straight out to the side. So I'm just going to prune this branch again to a horizontal facing tree that's pointing out this time. And this one here as well kind of comes out and then it lifts up. So again, just going to prune that back to another horizontal facing leaf. And pruning it back and letting it grow, yeah, will eventually add taper to, well, both the trunk of the tree, but also add a lot more taper to the branch structuring as well. And then prune this one as well. Prune it back a little bit further. Right. So yeah, so you can see it's yeah, it's got the start of the structure there. It is still quite a young tree. Yeah, it's got that overall kind of structure that I want. Still very early days for these branch pads, but they will grow and be a lot more developed with time. So yeah, that's the pruning done for this one. So just start off with this one as well. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this one's really a bit of a problem child, just because I tried with especially that these are more you know, Illuminati style pots. I did try just having a little bit of a cascade with the branch. Didn't really work out that way, so I'm actually going to eliminate this branch that I tried turning over. It is the main apex. Well, perhaps I won't eliminate it. I might just eliminate it where it starts to bend. See if there's any root leaf scars here. Alright, so there's a few different areas here where there's, looks like there are leaf scars which will back bud. So I'll just cut this off, and I'll just hope that it will yeah, have a new branch which comes up from the main trunk. But pruning it back, you yeah, will really start to develop a lot more taper in the branch structuring, or in the trunk itself as well. So that'll be good in the long run. So this one here, got a couple branches which are so they're kind of coming out from pretty much exactly the same spot, so I have to decide which of those I want to keep. And this one's a lot thicker, but it's also coming up at that 45-degree angle, which I don't want. So I'm actually going to remove this long one. Oh, let's get this little horizontal bit there as well. Okay, so I'm going to remove this horizontal one down the bottom. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to do clip and grow, but there's no wiring needed. But I'll cut off the main trunk that's growing up here, and I'll just leave this little horizontal branch. Now, to do that, I'm not going to cut it exactly where it comes off, where that little branch comes off. I'm just going to leave like a few millimeters just above that, just for that to die back, just so it hopefully doesn't threaten the health of this branch. And then I just need to wire that one down. Now I'll keep to the clip and grow style with this. So again, there's a few buds lower down on this little branch. There's a couple buds just coming out here. So just going to prune it to just above one of those. There's a couple right down the bottom. So I'm hoping one of the ones right down the bottom will bud out. But there's a bud just below where I pruned that back to as well. So I'm hoping that will bud back in the future. But yeah, so that's yeah, really just changing that a lot, especially with clip and grow. It's a lot about, well, first focusing on the root structure, which I've done previously and will work on more in the future. But then it's just about cutting it back and letting it grow, getting a lot more vigor, which thickens out the trunk, and then pruning it back. Alright, so there we have my 2 Chinese elms that I've just pruned back. So yeah, this one a bit more just simply a clip and grow strategy there, just repairing some of the well, it just didn't work the last time I tried wiring it, so just cutting it back, just starting from scratch pretty much in the clip and grow style. And then this one here, which I've got more as I've wired it a little bit for now, just to develop some of those branch structure, get a bit of branch padding, leaf pads developing on this. So this one, wiring that, but then probably in the future, once these main branches have set, I'll revert to a more clip and grow style strategy. So, well, there we have it. Now, I do develop a range of different videos such as this in my channel, so if you have enjoyed this video or taken something from it, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and look, thanks for your time today. Enjoy.